Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. Alhamdulillahi wassalatu wassalamu ala Rasulillah wa ala alihi wa ashabihi wa man wala amma ba'd. Respected brothers and sisters in Islam, I hope Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has kept you well, and I hope Allah Azza wa Jal has blessed you in this blessed month of Ramadan. As we come towards the end of Ramadan, naturally we start to become upset in regards to Ramadan leaving us. And one of the ways which I personally motivate myself is I tell myself every single day that this could be the last Ramadan which I witness. And if this is the last Ramadan I witness, then I would like to do as much as possible, bring myself closer to Allah, increase my salah, increase my connection with the Quran, and try to be in the service of our people, the service of the community, and just keep pushing and bring ourselves closer and closer to the proximity of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Now, when we study the life of the Prophet ﷺ, as we know, in the last 10 days, his actions increased. His strive and struggle towards the religion and towards Allah increased. Now, this is the last line, and when you see the final line, we sprint much faster. And as believers, it is truly a great blessing that Allah Azza wa Jal has given us this Ramadan to witness, and we were in this Ramadan. That's why the scholars say if a person truly understood the virtues and the fadila and the fadail of Ramadan, we would want and desire Ramadan to be every single day of the year. We would want Ramadan to be every single day of the year. May this Ramadan be a means of salvation for all of us. Ameen. Ya Rabbal Alameen. And we need to be thankful to Allah for the blessings which He has given us. It's easy to be despondent in something that goes wrong, but then we count all the positives that we have. And without Allah Azza wa Jal, we will be lost. Without this religion, we will be lost. So it's always to inject Iman in our hearts and to rectify them things which is taking us away further from the religion of Allah and the teachings of the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. So today I wanted to go through and speak about a very special sadaqah, not just any form of sadaqah, but a sadaqah which is compulsory to give at the end of Ramadan on the day of Eid. This is known as Sadaqatul Fitr. People know it as Fitrana, others know it as Zakatul Fitr. This is a special sadaqah which a person gives on the day of Eid. Compulsory charity given to the poor on the day of Eid. Now, the purpose of this sadaqah, as every sadaqah has a purpose. The purpose of this sadaqah is to cleanse the fast which you and I have kept throughout the month of Ramadan, and any faults or any mistakes we have done whilst we were fasting. This particular sadaqah, with the permission of Allah, purifies that. Like we have zakah. Zakah purifies our wealth. This particular sadaqah, Sadaqatul Fitr, purifies the fast which we have kept throughout the month of Ramadan. The other purpose is that the poor, the fuqara, the masakin, the orphans, those who are vulnerable and those who need our help, those who have rights upon us, they have haqq and hukuk upon us, the poor and needy, they can also receive something on the day of Eid, and they can also be part of the joy and happiness of Eid. When you and I receive a hadiyah or a present, it brings a smile on our face, whether it's small or big. So imagine that our Sadaqatul Fitr reaches those poor and those needy Muslims around the world, and it brings a smile upon their face, and they make dua to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. That dua which can be a means of salvation for you and I. And that dua that can really be a difference on the day of Qiyamah. So this is what you and I need to be seeking for. So these are the few main purposes. One, that Sadaqatul Fitr purifies the fast and it cleanses the fast. The other is that the needy and the poor receive something special from us on the day of Eid, so they feel joy and they can rejoice also on the day of Eid. Subhanallah, such a beautiful religion that even on the days of celebration, it doesn't leave the needy out. Even they have some haqq towards this blessed day. Now, when we study the masla and the masail and the conditions and the different rulings of Sadaqatul Fitr, the first question is, upon whom Sadaqatul Fitr is compulsory upon? Upon whom Sadaqatul Fitr is compulsory upon? Now, when we study, we see that it is wajib and compulsory upon every sane Muslim adult who has reached baligh, he has reached bulugh, and he has reached gone past puberty. So every sane Muslim adult, male or female, who owns nisab on the morning of Eid. So, once again, every sane Muslim, adult, male or female, who owns nisab on the morning of Eid, if he meets or an individual meets this requirement, then Sadaqatul Fitr becomes wajib upon him. What is nisab? Nisab is the minimum threshold of the wealth of a person which is stipulated by the Sharia. The minimum threshold, the minimum limit. If a person has more than this, then it becomes wajib upon him to give. If he has less than this, then it is not wajib upon him to give. So nisab is the minimum threshold of the wealth of a person which is stipulated by the Sharia, by the rules of Islam. So we have gold, and the nisab of gold is 87.48 grams. And for silver, we have 612.36 grams silver. Okay? Or any form of wealth equivalent to the value of silver. Any form of wealth equivalent to the value of silver. If you and I meet these requirements and these conditions, then it becomes wajib for you and I to discharge Sadaqatul Fitr. Now, when we say any form of wealth, okay, this includes anything that is beyond one basic needs of an individual. For example, clothes or cash or household utilities. If you gather, or properties, or if you gather all of this up together, and your basic necessities, your clothes, and you gather them all together and it goes beyond the value of silver, then Sadaqatul Fitr is wajib upon each and every single person who goes past these conditions. So alhamdulillah, we see many of the people, alhamdulillah, they have the basic needs, and if you gather them and you bring them together, then you will see that the value of that is more than the value of silver. So upon you and upon every person, then it becomes wajib to give Sadaqatul Fitr. Who gives Sadaqatul Fitr? Whose responsibility is it to give the Sadaqatul Fitr? Then we see that normally within the households, the breadwinner, the one who works in the house, or the male dominance in the house, or the husband of the house, or the father of the house, they normally take in charge to give Sadaqatul Fitr. But reality is, every adult is responsible for his own Sadaqatul Fitr. Every adult. Whether that is the wife, whether that is the husband, whether that is the mother, whether that is the father, then one adult can take responsibility of everybody. Like if the husband says, I will discharge Sadaqatul Fitr on behalf of each and every single member of the household. Or the wife says, well, no, I want to give my own Sadaqatul Fitr, then that is okay, and that will be permissible. Now, Sadaqatul Fitr, the adult must discharge Sadaqatul Fitr on behalf of himself and all those who are dependent upon him in his immediate family, and that includes his minor children. So this is the vital thing. Zakat, which is 2.5% of one's wealth, if your children don't meet the conditions of zakat and they have not gone past the conditions, zakat is not fard upon them. As for Sadaqatul Fitr, Sadaqatul Fitr is wajib upon that person who meets the condition. He must discharge the money for himself and every minor who is dependent upon him. His children, he has 2 children, 2 boys and 2 girls. He must discharge for himself, his 2 boys and his 2 girls. And if his wife wants to, she wants him to discharge for her also, then he can also do this on behalf of his wife. Now the timings for Sadaqatul Fitr. When do we give Sadaqatul Fitr? It is compulsory, and it becomes compulsory at the time of Fajr, on the day of Eid al-Fitr. It becomes compulsory on the day of Eid at the time of Fajr, and it is preferable to discharge the Sadaqah in advance, so the recipients and those who are needy will receive the funds on the day of Eid. So for example, many of us live in countries where we don't have much poor people, poor Muslims around us, so it becomes difficult to discharge on the day of Eid. But in the Indian subcontinent, we have India, Pakistan, Bangladesh, Africa, and all these different countries around the world that are more in need. Then we should take the responsibility of discharging the Sadaqatul Fitr early, so it reaches the right people and it be given to the individuals and the poor and the needy on the day of Eid. It will not be clever for a person who knows that that I'm going to discharge it late and it's going to receive and it's going to get there late. No, if he knows that I need to give it early, but it will be given on the day of Eid, then he is able to discharge that Eid, Sadaqatul Fitr early. Now, it is disliked that you delay Sadaqatul Fitr. You delay Sadaqatul Fitr to such an extent that it's gone past the Salah and it's gone past the khutbah of Eid. So, some of the scholars, and we read that this will not be classed as Sadaqatul Fitr, anything given after. It will be just classed as a normal Sadaqah. So it's very important that we understand this, that we discharge of this early. Now, the question has arisen multiple times where a person has not understood about Sadaqatul Fitr earlier. Excuse me. And he has missed many years of giving Sadaqatul Fitr. Ulama have said you are able to make up the years that you have missed. You are able, so a person has missed 3 years of Sadaqatul Fitr, he is able to make them 3 years up and give that and discharge that. Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam has specified the amount of Sadaqatul Fitr. When we study the hadith, we see that the Messenger of Allah has specified the amount. And he has specified it according to the measurements of their time. So he says half a sa'. Sa' was a measurement which they use. So he says half a sa' of wheat, or half a sa' of flour, or 1 sa' of dates, or 1 sa' of barley, or 1 sa' of raisins. Or you give the equivalent in cash. You give the equivalent in cash. And this can vary between 3.5 pounds to 50, or between 3.5 pounds and 15 pounds. Now, we see, and I've seen this many at times, that many people just want to get rid of the burden of giving Sadaqatul Fitr. So they go with the minimum amount. If Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given you wealth, my brother and sister, then you must go with that which is in your capability. And if the more you give, the more reward. The more you give, the more reward. We see many a times Muslims, oh, I'll just go with the lowest and I'll, just give it on behalf of the family. So this will not be ideal. If Allah has given us wealth, then we must discharge. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala accept all our sadaqahs and accept this Ramadan as the greatest Ramadan in our life, and accept all our a'mal. Ameen. Wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.